that where the intellect is sitting, that makes the difference in our life. You wake up in the morning and the intellect is sitting in tea or coffee, or a friend with whom you had differences yesterday. So that triggers the mind, associates with the similar impressions that is already stored in the mind. Then what happens? Then it becomes a bad morning. It does not remain a good morning. So it all depends on our mind. Huh? In the very beginning, we studied in this weekly session uh, that Amrit Bindu Upanishad, which says, Mane Manushanam Karana. Mind is the cause of bondage. This is bondage. We should not think of the chain, that criminals are chained, bondage or chain. These are the chain of thoughts that causes these problems in our life. That needs to be understood. So, mind is the cause of bondage, and the mind is the cause of freedom. So, in that case, we should also understand that the mind perceives the object, event, and the things at a different level. Mind perceives at the surface level, mind perceives at the cause, secondary cause, third cause. So that defines our personality, behavior, attitude. So you look an object as an object for utility. You may see the object, the same object, as the object that for sensuality, for beauty, for peace. So it all happens in our mind. Everything is happening in the mind. I am crazy, so you reflect on that craziness and then question, thinking about it. The primary cause. Oh, let me understand why he is doing like this. So you see that your mind remains calm. So that is what happens in our day to day relationship with the objects. So, this first chapter of Patanjali is focused on the highest level of seekers. I've been telling. A commentator also writes about it. Who are the highest level of seekers? Who are one pointed? So now we may say that we are one pointed. I'm one pointed. While driving, I remain focused. Huh? I always focus on my honey. I don't see anyone. That is also one pointed. So we have to differentiate between one pointedness in the journey of meditation and one pointedness while living in the world. So that one pointedness brings us to an understanding that where the mind is sitting. So where the mind is sitting, that makes and breaks. That defines our success in meditation. I have to do nothing. It is your mind, it is your practice, it is your life. You know, we are just pointers. So in In Bhaj Govindam, there is another beautiful text by the Shankara and his disciples. So he says, he clearly mentions Yoga Ratova, Bhoga Ratova, Sangha Ratova, Sangha Vihina, Yasya Brahmani Ramate Chattam Nandati Nandati Nandati. We are busy in the morning, doing 50 postures. This is what he says. Or we are busy in enjoying the things of the world. We are attached, or we try to be detached. So the mind is there. The mind is sitting there. But the master says that those whose mind is sitting in the real self, his life is full of joy. He always enjoys his life. So his mind, the mind of a seeker. So when the mind of a seeker is committed to explore the real self inside, amid all the events, people with whom he or she is living, that that defines your life. And that definition of the life would be that one day we will be discovering the real self or the reality. So our sutra Vishayavati va pravrittar rupanna manasa sthiti nibandhani. So he says that you need not to leave this world. You need not to think too much that my mind is uh, my mind is craving. Uh, it has an element of craving or obsession. But at the same time, the moment your mind has a craving for any object, you start looking at the secondary cause. What is behind it? What is behind it? I have a craving for pasta, so let my mind see that craving is living in the mind or it is living in the pasta. You raise a doubt. You create a doubt in the mind. Mind, I want you to know that craving is present in that man or woman or pasta, or craving is present in me. You see that? So that is the work of a highest level of a seeker. So now you start thinking. So the moment you create a doubt in the mind towards craving, towards obsession, see what happens? Next question, no, craving is present in my mind. So then ask where the craving is present. Then you see that masters guide you very simple things, provided we pick up and we contemplate and reflect. Now, one master says, okay, ask yourself, has the pasta entered into your mind? Did the mind chase the locus of the. What happens? What is happening? What is happening in the mind? Looking at the pasta or a man or a woman or anything in the world. So what happens now? See that what happens in the mind. The mind raises a doubt towards the things we are craving for. So the moment you have a craving, that very obsession loosens. So you live into a new level of awareness. And in that new level, am I talking seriously? Is it making a sense to you? Sometimes I feel I'm just speaking. because I'm a weird guy. So you think that no, you have to listen to it anyhow, even if you do not understand. Huh? So you see that, you see the mind. So the mind loosens that moment of craving and obsession. So now see, go to the next step. What happens? Now the perception of the mind changes towards the world and the things and the events outside. You can apply this, you dislike a person you are talking, or you like pasta, or you hate something. In all these cases, the mind does not go anywhere. Understand this point. Mind does not go anywhere. I am thinking of India. Did the mind go to India? See that? Mind is not going anywhere. So, what is happening in the mind when there is a craving, when there is an obsession, when there is a liking, when there is a reaction? What is happening? So, the first thing we should understand, this mind is not going anywhere. And now, let me tell you the most beautiful part of it. I like pasta. The mind imagines within me a liking first and the pasta. I talk about India. Mind did not go to India. The mind imagines, if I use the right word, think of it. The moment you have a craving, just tell your mind, oh, are you imagining pasta and liking? The moment you think in this way, the craving will also go away and the object will also go. Just see that. See. So, has the mind gone to India? Has the mind gone to pasta? Has the mind gone to anyone? No. Mind is still here with me, but it imagined with a thought of liking, of disliking, of craving, of pleasure, of an object. That object did not enter into my mind. It only entered because I am thinking about it. Do you see that? Do you see it clearly? Oh, I know Stephen. So image of the Stephen comes to my mind. See that? So our master is saying that you pick up the subtle image. What is happening in the mind? And your mind should be there. So when your mind is there on that subtle perception, subtle awareness of that object. So I don't have an image of the Stephen in the mind, but his attribute, the way the mind has created, the way my mind has created a feeling about him, a feeling about pasta, a feeling about India. So now my focus is not on the image outside, but the attribute inside. So what happens? The beautiful thing happens that that this mind no longer is running outside; it is within us. So it is looking at its own content. Again, it's not very complex. Now the mind is looking its own content that is already present in the mind. Rose flower, what a beautiful smell. Is there any rose flower here? Huh? Have you seen it? Have you smelt it? Yes. So the mind goes to the content already present in the mind. So now see that. Now that mind which was running outside, it has gone inside. Do you see that? So when we understand this point, now you live day to day life. You're eating pasta, you are meeting people who everything is good, but internalized. Now, if I use the word, the mind is already internalized. The mind is constantly living inside, even while living outside. Do you see that? So, this is a conscious process. Mind is already doing all these things at the subconscious and habitual level. Because it is doing at the subconscious and habitual level, that is why it has an element of reaction, disliking, pain, pleasure, etc. etc. So we are replacing that. Replacing means you are releasing those impressions that causes you pain and the suffering and the problems in your life. So in that state, what happens? The mind says, let it happen whatever is happening outside. Let me remain calm. You ultimately come to that state in the mind itself. Now, when the mind chooses that, no, I have to live into that state of the calmness inside that I have realized it has nothing to do with any object, thing, events outside. That mind is one pointed mind. I started with the same and I came to the same conclusion. That point, that one point, that mind is one pointed mind. So, yoga is seeking that one pointed mind which continues to look within, lives within, and wants to explore the real self. This is what this sutra explains. So, now see the simple translation that you can achieve, you can remove the distractions of the mind and remain cheerful if the mind is focused on the attributes of the object, people, things. Yogaratova, Bhogaratova. So that is why this master says one person is doing all these postures. No, I'm not against it, don't feel bad about it. So I'm obsessed with it. And other people is obsessed with some kind of obsession or craving or like binge eating. One person is totally attached with the things and other people is detached. Nothing will work. The master is saying where your mind is sitting. Is your mind is sitting on my beard, nothing will happen. You have created an image. But if the mind is sitting on what I am speaking, what message I am giving, what knowledge is passed on to you from the masters of the Eastern wisdom, that will make a tremendous difference in your life. So now, then the next question comes. The mind says, okay, I have understood this, but what should I do? What should I do? How should I proceed? So the master, the commentator says, do you know the tip of the nose? So master says, I'm giving you a choice. Yeah, do you know? Can you become aware of the tip of the nose? How do you become aware the breath is going in and out and you feel the sensation? Yes, that is normal. But there you imagine. I use the word imagined. So now you imagined or recall the fragrance of a rose. What is this way? The mind has been cheating us and causing the trouble. Now we are cheating the mind. Cheating our own mind. Constantly cheat your own mind. My mind looks at a person and mind says, how crazy. Hold on. Hold on, mind. Hold on, mind. It's a color and form. Bring the mind. Tongue touches the upper palate. Oh, this guy and me outwardly are same. They are made of the same stuff. There is nothing of disliking in the action. Just think of it. The mind imagine hatred. Let the mind imagine friendliness. Huh? We worked on this, for friendliness. Four attributes, do you remember? Friendliness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. See that? I should think at the same time, imagined, so that the mind remains one-pointed, whether it's a tip of the tongue for a spatial taste, upper palate for the color and the form, and the middle of the tongue for spatial touch and sensation. So all masters have found out these 5 pointers inside the body pertaining to the attributes of these 5 sense organs. Because I see the pasta, mind says I like the pasta, mind remains outward. Now the masters have given us the 5 centers, locus inside. Come on, the mind feels everything inside. It is nothing in the object. So better. Why don't you see inside? They are helping us. So root of the tongue is about the spatial sound. So yesterday I was telling that I did it for 5 to 7 years, which I say the goddess Durga. So now see that, even if you see there are 10 different forms of this goddess, and one form is totally naked. Some Hindu people will go against me. So if you put that goddess on the porn site, or that's why I said, but that does not mean I'm citing an example. Citing just an example. So we should be. So now our master says you are seeking this naked, beautiful lady, and then you allow the attribute. The attribute of that lady is the peace sitting in your heart. Ya Devi. So there is a long verses of chanting. Long mantra, you can say. It contains more than 100 lines. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shanti Rupena Sanstita. O Goddess Durga, you are sitting deep inside my heart as peace. Can you see peace? Are you calm now? So ask the mind to be aware of the calmness inside the heart, the peace inside the heart, the joy inside the heart. What we have been seeing until now? Anxiety, reaction, blame, complaint. Do you see that? So it's not. So when you start imagining that, even I will use the word imagining. So what is happening? You are creating good impression. You are releasing the impressions of the duality in a conflict. So this is one method. The master has been saying, after explaining many methods, that this is one method by which the mind removes all the distractions and absorbs into meditation. And that can be done. That can be done, practiced during the day. Let your honey be the goddess or the god. Oh, you are sitting inside me as peace. So, what is going to happen? All your differences will go away. See the application in our daily life. Don't you think that we have more potent principles of talk therapy than the psychotherapy or going to a psychiatrist? So, this is what this sutra talks about. So, let us start our journey of practice